This report just told us everything about the Boston Bruins and what their plan is for this offseason. With the press conference that was a couple days ago, the Bruins staff has acknowledged that the need for wingers and forwards are a top priority. We're going to be breaking down what they had said here in this whole interview, as well as what the options are, and do the Bruins understand what their issue really is? We're going to be taking a look at all of that here in this video. Very quickly before we get into it, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We noticed that just a percentage of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. We're on the road to 7K. So if you haven't hit the button, you're looking for a spot for all of your Bruins news daily, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button, join me here on the channel. We're covering everything Boston Bruins. But let's get straight into this because things are getting interesting around the Bruins organization. Starting off here with the first tweet from Jamie Murphy, kind of going over what was said at the press conference, and things are starting to get a bit heated in this topic with the Bruins starting to get the rumors and other reports of potential targets here in this offseason. But before all of that came this. Jimmy Murphy said this kind of from the press conference. NHL Bruins Don Sweeney stresses that the offseason focus will be on scoring up front and specifically on the wings. Are they in complete denial that they are one of the thinnest teams up the middle in the NHL? You need centers to feed the wings. And I completely agree with, first of all, Jimmy Murphy here and Don Sweeney. I feel like both are absolutely correct, but the fact that we're not seeing this Bruins organization acknowledge the fact that they are a thin team up front, that they do not have the depth centers that they're looking for, they don't have the top centers that they're looking for, and after acquiring Elias Lindholm to be your number one center, they have not seen that work just yet. The end of the season really saw him kind of come into the light, kind of get to where he was supposed to be, but it was too little, too late at that point. The Bruins had already missed the playoffs, and things were already, it's completely out of the way for the Boston Bruins. So looking at that, looking at these two topics right here, the Bruins are going to have a very good line of what the plan is going into the offseason, and teams are going to be aware of that. Teams are going to be in contact with the Boston Bruins saying, hey, we have some centers, we have some wingers that you may want, we're trying to get rid of. Let's look at a deal here. But there's also the possibility of free agency where I think that the Bruins are really going to be looking much more at this and the draft. The draft will be something for a little bit of a later here in the video, as well as later on in the off season when we get closer to the draft. But when we do look at the Bruins' whole system right now, I'm gonna pull up the actual roster right now of under contract players, and we see the big issue right here with Pavel Zacha, Casey Middlestat, David Pastrnak there. Morgan Geekie, a free agent, likely will be re-signed. We're going to touch on that a little bit later as well. But then you go Elias Lindholm, Matt Poitras, Mark Kaslick down the middle. You have guys like Fraser Minton as well, who can play in the middle, plays the wing usually, so kind of got to count him out. But when we're looking at Casey Middlestat, Elias Lindholm, Matt Poitras, Mark Kaslick, this is not a deep playoff run depth center. Matt Poitras, still very young, still will get to that spot, but he's just not there yet. Elias Lindholm, with this contract, has not been playing up to his level, what he should be. And Casey Middlestat is someone that I'm very high on with the Boston Bruins. You know that from the previous videos that we had here on the channel when the season was coming to an end and when we got him at the trade deadline. Very happy about it. I do like his potential here, and I think he could become a number one center. Just not it right now. So looking for that number one center is still a possibility. You re-sign Mark Kaslick, an absolute dog, for this reason of being on the team, being that third or fourth line guy. But apart from that, you see some lacking on the wings as well. Morgan Geekie will likely be up in that top left wing spot with Pavel Zacha maybe in the middle. That's what we've seen a lot this season. Well, I'm assuming we're going to see a lot next season as well. But then you also have Casey Middlestat, Elias Lindholm. Elias Lindholm not really playing up to that contract. Casey Middlestat, someone who will be around that line. And then you have Pavel Zacha, who could be back in the middle. Morgan Geekie back up on the first. There's still so many moves the Bruins can choose to make here in this whole internal system right now. And even with the prospects they have in line, some of the people they're going to be drafting, there is still a possibility to not make have to make too many moves, but the better option will be to do those. And I want to pull this up here from Bruins Breakdown as well. Don Sweeney said this: we're not just going to plug a player in because he's young and he's exciting. They have to earn their stripes. And I feel like Don Sweeney didn't need to say this because we've been very aware of it with Georgi Merkulov, Fabian Lysell, both of those players in specific who we really saw crack the roster this season, crack the roster and kind of stay there or get sent down immediately. This is going to be their final chance. And this is going to be kind of counting in that with the Boston Bruins as well. This is going to be the final chance to see if they can do anything with Fabian Lysell, because Fabian Lysell, to me at least, has shown that he can be out of that level. Just give him the playing time. And it kind of comes back to this quote as well from Don Sweeney. They're not just going to plug him in if he's not playing good, which makes complete sense, but you can't blame it just on Fabian Lysell if he's not playing to the level. There has to be some sort of system the Bruins need to put him and put Merkulov in to make it work. So this is something to keep an eye on. We may see some trade here in this offseason. There's been reports about that during the season. I don't know if if I'm liking it. I don't think so. I like Lysell a lot. I think he seems to be given that potential. We saw him really come into himself at the end of the season here, and hopefully we do see this again next season as well. But when we go as well, one more very exciting tweet here from Don Sweeney saying that Morgan Geekie will be on next year's team. There is going to be a deal in place, the two of them working on a contract, and that with the GM meetings, or the GM final, goodbye for the season, I guess, a week ago, said that this is going to be done. They're already negotiating. So that is one thing that we can guarantee to see back in this lineup is Morgan Geekie there on that first or second line, paired with David Pastrnak lightly, because that's where we really saw him shine with that 30 goals that he had during this season. He was a superstar this year on 57 points, 33 goals, most of which coming, halfway to the end of December and on. So that really goes to show that if he had a full, hot start to the season, he would be in a phenomenal place when it does come down to not just his contract, but also the Bruins next season. But the Bruins are going to be having to look in and out of free agency, the draft, trades, to be able to fill in those gaps that Don Sweeney was saying. Specifically the wings for him, but for us Bruins fans, we know the center, the middle of the ice, is also a big issue here. So when we do come down to looking at the free agents that are available, there's a few names here that really catch my eye. Mainly the top and the bottom of this list, and there's also a few people in the middle. Now, Brock Boeser is one that I'm very high on. We saw his success this season. We saw how good he can be, and he needs a change of scenery. It does seem like the Vancouver Canucks probably won't re-sign him. There's still uncertainty there, but it's a possibility that he does come to an American team, come down to Minnesota, Boston. Those are the teams linked to him. The Boston Bruins need to go out for a guy like Brock Boeser and make that work. He's still super young, super talented, and putting him on the right pairing would be absolutely elite. Now, there's also names here that we're going to be speaking about in next video. Vladislav Gavrikov on defense. That's for that video, so be sure to check that out tomorrow. But when you're looking at guys like Andrei Kuzmenko as well, Andrew Mangiapane, Nikolai Ehlers, some very, very talented wingers. Brad Marchand also there. We don't really know what's going on with his side of things, but there's possibility for people like that as well. But there's one center on this list that's really a big option. The only option that I think is feasible for the Bruins if they're going for a couple years is Yanni Gourde. Yanni Gourde is someone that was linked to the Boston Bruins previously. I've made a video on him previously, and I'm still very high on him. With Tampa, with Seattle, wherever he is, he's been a very, very talented player and someone that, is a perfect fit wherever you put him. He seems to be gelling with any teammate you put him on, any line you put him on, and works very, very well. So when you're looking at these contracts for Yanni Gourde around $5 million, when you're looking at Brock Boeser, his is currently 6.6, but will be upwards of probably 7 to 8. You're going to have to really plan out what you want to do with this, because you're not going to be able to go out and get a Yanni Gourde, a Brock Boeser, and a Nikolai Ehlers to be able to fill into this lineup. It simply will not work. It's going to be too much money with what the Bruins have to do, and to make these final extensions done and fill this lineup in, you can't go spending too much money on some big names with leaving no depth on this team. So let me know what you think about this. Are you looking for one big name, two big names, or any of the names that were on the list I just pulled up, one here, in your cards? Let me know what you think in the comments below, but that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy it, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. Remember, we got a video tomorrow coming out about Vladislav Gavrikov, a report of the Bruins being linked to him in free agency. It's a very interesting one because there are some very big things that may not work out too well for the Boston Bruins in this case, but you're going to have to stick around for that tomorrow. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.